It's a cold day here in the barn. Got the Formula side project going. Sean's on his way over. Got a fire in the wood burning furnace here. Warm things up. Once this thing warms up, it actually is quite comfortable in here, even though it's really cold outside, which is nice. Here with Blaze.
Hi.
So yeah, wait on Sean to get here and we'll see what's in store for today for the side project. Fastbird has arrived.
Oh God.
So what's the plan for today, Sean?
Get the rear out, get the backing plates swapped over, get the other rear back in hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
At least get it dropped down and get the process started, because it's really all we can do unless you want to drag the cradle up to your house, up to the house, and get the power washer out.
Well,
when it's 27 degrees.
not gonna argue science, but science says water freezes at temperatures such as these. So.
But it's pressurized, so that changes its freeze and boil point.
Yeah, I don't think you understand. The water in the hose is probably frozen to the garage. No, I'm not going to do that today.
You didn't winterize?
No. So, no, we will power wash cradle some other time. It doesn't actually have to be power washed. It's fine.
I would like to power wash it just to...
You're gonna see. Let me show you something. You see this under here?
Uh-huh.
This is called surface rust.
Yeah.
This happens because LS1's burn oil not leaked them. The Camaro has been well preserved. What you're asking to do in a sense.
The Camaro had an LT1 in it forever that leaked everywhere.
And that was its savior. The LS1, however, it's a little messy here. There's some oil, there's some grease. So notice, no rust.
No
What
rust.
you're asking me to do essentially is to rust out this beautiful cradle that's been self-preserved
Well, that's
by
an
oil.
excuse to put an aftermarket tubular cradle in it later on.
We're not going crazy with this. This is very simple, very basic car project here.
No, this is anything but. It's very simple and basic.
Okay,
There
you're
is-
pulling a motor.
there is
I guess
no
it's not
motor
very
in it.
simple and basic, but. Well, one other thing I'm gonna do today,
Yeah,
hopefully,
I would-
is I'm gonna probably grind this down.
Yeah.
There's a bit of surface rust. This stuff is all somewhat manageable. I know I panned on it, but it is actually surface rust. So I can actually sand this down, which I'll probably do, and get it at a good point. And I'll probably put some rust inhibitor on it, let that dry up, just like I'll do to this section up here. And
wire wheel.
I do.
It would clean it up.
I do, and that's going to be the plan. So I'll sand that stuff down. I've got some rust inhibitor I can put on it, let it sit and cure, and that'll get it good and primed. And then we'll put a good spray paint on it, and
I mean, the nice
that should
thing
take care of
is
it.
a lot of the YouTube channels that I watch every now and then, some of the guys will pick up an F-body and they'll get under it, and it could be a LS1 4th gen like this even, and it's just falling apart.
Oh, you're not
at the
joking.
seams.
Just earlier this week, I went to my buddy that's the dealer or whatever, and he had an 02 LS1 car.
Yeah.
It looked clean on the outside. We got underneath, there was cancer everywhere,
Yeah.
just rust eating through everything. And it's sad, but you think about it, okay, well, the newest ones, that's 2002. We're 20 years
I know,
ago.
I know.
So here in the Midwest where we have snow and we have salt, this is going to happen. Not that this car even sees that much, but just water in general over time will do this to cars unless you live in Florida or like Arizona where it doesn't ever rain. It's something that's going to happen. But the good news is this is not past the dangerous level at all.
No.
This is just surface stuff. This all can be mostly fixed pretty easy and well, preserved as long as we can make it. So
Yeah.
I think we will be all right. So
Wire wheel at rust inhibitor, and then I would do some of that spray bed liner or something just to seal it up real good.
well, I can do that. It is a bit more durable. I was just thinking a good spray paint, just something to cover it will do it. If it's got a good.
If you're gonna go with paint, then I would do an etching primer on it.
Well, the rust inhibitor, it's got priming properties within it, so
Is it gonna etch? Is the question.
it should be fine. I've used it before on other stuff, and it's worked really well. So anyway, we'll get going on all this stuff.
aggressive.
So wire wheel's doing some stuff, pardon the music, but I think I'm gonna have to get more aggressive. The surface stuff is what I want to peek off first, but this is a little bit more than surface stuff, so I'm gonna have to get something a little more aggressive up in there to dig down a little bit further. This should be more aggressive, so we'll see how this does. So I've gotten the wheel well pretty good there. It's ready to be sprayed. Started on the underneath just with the basic wheel, and it seems to be taking the stuff down pretty good. So again, the surface rust, it looks kind of gnarly, but just doing it lightly, we'll get to this phase, and if I do it a little more aggressively, I can take it down to the metal, which is kind of what we want. You want the rust to be gone as much as you can. There's gonna be areas like underneath here, I can't get a wire wheel too. However, the rust inhibitor does actively go after the rust, and it basically turns into hard metal. Then you can make it paintable. So we'll get going on this on both sides, try and take all this stuff down to where it needs to be while Sean's working on, looks like a sway bar end links right now to get the rear ready.
I'm surprised you didn't see that. You got enough height to see it.
I wasn't looking everywhere. Okay, so got this sanded down nicely. Sean is making an observation. You know, if you can take it to bare metal, it's fine. But the substance we're gonna put on this is meant to put on rust itself. So a little bit is okay. You just don't want the like loose, flaky stuff that's ready to fall off still on. So we sanded pretty much all that off in all the areas I can see. I'll kind of triple check here once I'm off camera just to make sure it's all good. But we've got all the big stuff sanded down. So, and we got some stuff to more bare metal than others, but the anti-rust property stuff, which we'll show next, we'll go on next. And meanwhile, Sean, looks like he's got the brakes off the rear axle. We took the sway bar off there on the time lapse. Am I still on time lapse? Because if I am, that's not good. Guess I'll find out here shortly. I think I'm on video. Anyway, yeah, rear axle is getting pretty close to being pulled, I think. So Sean's found something.
So I'm over on the other side after I took the brake off, and I just put my hand up and rotated it, and I noticed that before I took the brake rotor off of this side, I noticed that it was spinning the same direction.
Yeah, go ahead and spin it, Sean.
And I thought, huh, that's weird. I'm going forward right now. I'm going backwards right now. And they're locked up. So I told Ben, I said, hey, try and spin that axle. Nothing. I think I would not be surprised when I open this up to find welded spider gears or something in that diff.
It could be. I was telling Sean, when we got the car, which I've had it for a long time, Canada, New Jersey, the rear axle had like a 70K thing written in yellow, which makes me believe it was probably out of a wrecked car. But this car, when I got it, probably had the rear axle fried. Everybody knows that the stock 10 bolts aren't that strong.
I've never broken one.
Well, I haven't either. However, it is a common thing. So
It is.
probably they pulled this out of a car, and who knows where it came from. I'm pretty confident it had the factory 342 gears, because it's honestly been a dog as far as going through the gears. Especially that Mammoth cam, it's needed gears bad.
I don't know. Even with 342s, it should pull. I'm wondering if it would have a 323 in the back, maybe.
I think I ran a gear calculator before, and it's doing what it should do with 342s for the mile an hour it's showing. Either way, it's coming out and it's getting 411s in it via that, which it really severely needs. But we'll open it up, take a look. It's going to be for sale anyway. I'll end up selling it off for what little it'll be worth. But it's kind of interesting that it probably has something welded up inside to make it
Lego.
a true welded diff. So that makes it easy. Just got a dolly under there. Pull off the brackets. And she should be ready just to lift the car back up and leave the axle down there. Rear axle disconnected. Now we're ready to bring the car back up on the lift, and hopefully things that are supposed to stay on the ground stay on the ground.
Yeah.
Ready, Sean?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, here we go.
Stop.
Stopped.
Yeah. Make sure that axle comes up.
Well, the axle did come up.
No, not the axle. The bracket. Make sure the bracket's not catching on the axle. The axle's going to stay.
Oh, I see what you're talking about for the brakes. Yeah. There we go. She's clear now.
All right.
Should be good, but...
If you can pull the spring out, pull the spring out.
Yep, I can get the spring. There we go. This guy.
If you want to lift.
That pop through. I'm gonna move the e-brake line. Okay. And then...
Now just lift the car up.
Okay. Lifting the car up. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do before. There we go.
All right.
Should be good.
Yep, everything's out.
Okay. Oh, having a lift is so nice. So you're not always this way in life, but sometimes you're just lucky. So, you know, when you go to upgrade parts, but then you find out that your existing parts are actually broken anyway.
Oh, tooth.
Yeah.
Tooth.
So, funny enough, that rear axle was kind of toasted. So it
Oh, I love
no
the
more.
smell of gear oil.
Yes. I wish they put it in a cologne.
Yeah.
Ah.
Trust me, if you get it on you once, you'll wear it as a cologne for the next 10 years.
So anyway, I was hoping to get some more money dumped back into this by making something off that rear axle, but if the teeth are broken, it's pretty much useless. So that's gonna be into the junkyard then.
And all the main gear teeth.
Those look fine.
Look
I mean,
fine.
when we rotated it, it's got to be
Yeah.
something on the spider gears.
That's off the spider gears, and I swear I'm looking at
Yeah.
a broken spot right here because there's a big gap. From here over to here, there's a
Yeah.
big gap. If you look at the other one,
Well, it is what it
tooth
is.
all the way around. Although that's a broken tooth right there too.
The funny thing is, I mean, it's been ran hard for years, and I've honestly never heard any noise coming from the back. Never had any problems. It always, you'd drop the hammer and it would go and not spin the tires. So
Well,
it's
yeah, that's because it was locked up, and
well, hey, you
I'm
know what? That
surprised-
works good.
I'm honestly surprised you never heard any chirping on like a real tight turn.
It's been quiet.
Huh.
It's honestly been quiet. So I don't. Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
Let me get the kingpin out.
Well, the good news is that it's getting replaced as needed. So
Little tech tidbit, if you're not familiar, Ben, bring the camera down here to this diff. Uh-oh. Hang on, we're sliding.
what do you need?
I need this. Oh shit, come on. Be forward more. So I took the kingpin out of the diff here. This big guy, that's what keeps the axles from coming in. But once you get the kingpin out, push the axle in, and I can get in here, get him off of there.
It slid around.
Yeah, it did.
I feel like this is one of those carnival games where you're trying to win one of the stuffed animals, and it's like rigged. So they just laugh and keep paying money.
All right.
And a pair of needle nose pliers be easier.
Well, it should come out right with the magnet, but your magnet's really, really light.
Well, Hadn't planned on pulling C-clips out of a rear axle when I bought it.
There we go. So that's the C-clip holding the axle in place. The reason NHRA makes C-clip eliminators mandatory, if your axle snaps, the part that's connected to the C-clip is going to stay in place. Part not connected to the C-clip is going to walk right out of the car.
But think of the fans and how exciting that would be to see that.
Yeah. So if you ever upgrade axles, do yourself a favor, just get C-clip eliminators.
Noted. Okay, so rear axle is apart. We got the brake brackets off, and Sean made a comment about the teeth.
We're each going to take a tooth, and it's going to go under our pillow, and we're going to see what the tooth fairy brings.
Oh boy. I'm thinking it'll bring better days with a better rear end, which we already have here. All right. The next step is really to start the rust proofing of the car. So you can pick this kind of stuff up at local hardware stores, wherever. I happen to get this Skyco Osfo brand. It says right on it, stops rust, prepares rusted surface for painting. So basically, and it says right on the back in the instructions, you don't have to get rid of all the rust. It's meant to put right on rust. It just necessarily, if you've got like really loose stuff that's flaking ready just to fall off, then they want you to scrape those loosely. But you can throw it right on there, let it sit overnight, and then it'll be ready for painting. So that's what we're gonna do. I've got a little bit more up here to take care of. Maybe one or two more little spots I'm gonna hit with the wire wheel, and then we'll just brush it on. You can brush it on with a paintbrush. It's pretty easy. I'm just gonna use this little measuring cup here and a regular paintbrush. It's water soluble, so pretty easy to clean up when we're done. All right, with the help of Sean, we've made pretty good progress today. We've got old rear axle out, new rear axle about ready to go in. The snag and stopping point we hit was basically the brake backing plates for the LS1 do not fit the bearings for this rear axle. They are just too small. So what we're probably going to end up doing is pulling out the axles here, taking the backing plate and having new bearings sized and pressed on the axles to fit the new backing plates for the brakes. I'm going to try and call Mosier and see if they make LS1 backing plates for it. If they do, that'd be an easy fix. We've got the rust dealt with as much as we can in a day. I've got all the loose stuff ground off everywhere. We got the rust inhibiting stuff. You can see it's soaking wet. I just put it on with a painting brush there. It's just got to dry and sit overnight, and it'll do its thing, turning the rusty parts to hard metal. It'll be paintable, and then we'll get some spray to put on it, and that'll be the next step. So anyway, thanks for joining us for, I guess, another progress video on the side project, and we will check again soon. We have more to record and more to show.